right, so I call this meeting of the Northumberland County Economic Development Commission to order at 6 o'clock. And we have a quorum. We have 4 of our 5 commissioners present. Except one just stepped out of the hall. But that's okay. All right, we'll wait till see if we can. All right, so we have the agenda in front of us. I want to see if anyone has any adjustments or if we want to accept the agenda as written. Move to accept it as written.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Review the meeting notes for May 2024. We did not have a meeting in June. Did anyone have any edits, changes, or corrections to the notes from May?
No.
We'll take a motion to accept the minutes as written.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Commissioner's Corner. Lynn, we'll start with you.
Car broke down. Dashboard lit up like a Christmas tree. And I called Bay Auto, which it's a shop that has worked on the car before. Can you help me out? Oh yeah, sure. Middle of August. Bring it in the middle of August. And I said, what? We got into this big long discussion. He can't find help.
Yeah, yes.
And I said, well, you know, have you reached out to the tech center? He said, well, I've been working with them for 3 years and have yet to receive a qualified candidate. It's ridiculous. I ended up finding a shop. It still took 2.5 weeks because he didn't have any help.
But at the tech center in Warsaw, this is your trade center. So therefore, if it's been 3 years, then what have you been teaching them? In 3 years, if you still can't find a qualified candidate to assist me in auto mechanics, especially if I'm going to trade school for an auto mechanic.
I think it's not, and I asked him that question and he said that one of the issues is when these kids come out, even when they're willing to go to work, he said not all of them really want to do it. You know, it's one thing if they're in school doing it, but they don't want to necessarily carry that forward. But the ones that do have to bring their own tools.
Yeah.
And that buying tools for these kids straight out of school is something of an issue. And I said, okay, well, what's the price tag for a beginner's kit? And he said about $500. So one of the things we may want to consider is for those qualified candidates that are willing to actually do the work and be hired and make a commitment to it, we may want to consider a scholarship for them to buy the tools or some other mechanism to get them the cash to buy what they need to actually go to work.
So we might be able to go talk to the tech center too. When we get down to new business, I've been having some conversations with the school, but I think a visit to the tech center is on my list of things to do, to ask them, like, how many kids when you graduate get a job? How many don't? Like, is there impediment? There's this licensing issue too. Remember we've talked about this?
Exactly.
Where you might be able to go through all the program, but then you have to pay for that license. If you have to pay for the license and the tools, then all of a sudden it becomes a financial burden.
Right.
And the other issue in talking with one of the local guys who has a shop that's actually running is that there are certain positions in his shop that he can't hire for unless the candidate has a clean credit record. Because without a clean credit record, they would be open to bribery.
Oh, for the inspections.
For the inspections.
Okay. So
And
they
so
need a good credit report?
if you want to go and be an
Coming out of
inspector.
school, your credit report is already tore up.
I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand if it was student loans and things of that nature, but coming out, okay. We'll talk to the tech
Some of
center.
these kids, I mean, I remember when my kids were coming out of school, they were getting credit card applications pre-approved when they were juniors in high school.
Yeah, well, my daughter gets them right now and they go in the trash.
That's sure they're watching.
That's right, exactly. But there are those kids that get them, they're pre-approved, they go out, they spend money, they don't realize that it needs to be repaid.
Right.
And
Or they're
they,
paying the minimum and that doesn't help.
and they mess up their credit before they're even out of the gate.
All right, so we got at least one action. which is the visit,
Tech center.
the tech center, right? And then this issue on the credit, I think, when I get to the part where I'm gonna talk about what I've been talking about with the school, you guys will,
Tools,
there
credit,
might
and
be some things that we
license.
can do there, so.
Tools, credit, license.
Jacob McCallum, when he came and talked to us, said that there's potentially some grant programs that these companies can reach out and seek funds to be able to get the tools for the students, or the students can obtain the grants. We just got to reach out to
Right,
Jim.
well, we've got to figure out like that whole space of things he talked about. We still have to talk, Jennifer, Jessica, which one's, which one?
Jessica.
Jessica, thank you. And then the other kid, that's the youth influencer. So I've got a report, on that I'm gonna read out in
Or the,
new business too.
yeah, Department of Labor usually give grants,
Yeah.
to them to assist. If
And
they're
that's part of
starting
what-
out, Department of Labor.
Maurice, your work on
Okay.
the grant system. So, all
Okay.
right, cool.
I'm sorry, so the action for that was a
The
visit
action
to the tech
is
center?
that, yeah, I'm gonna
Yes.
take a visit to Texas. There's like a list of things I've been gathering to talk with them about. But I need to understand that program works and one other person can come with me, otherwise we end up with three. So we'll find out who
Okay.
might be available to go at the same time I go.
Just let me know as well.
Yep, I'll let you know since you're
Okay.
the vice and then,
Yeah.
you can decide.
Yeah. Yeah, credit license and tools is what I have.
And then we can talk about the grants. Okay.
Okay.
What else, ma'am?
That's it. I just think the whole, I actually think it isn't it. The credit issue, I think, is something that, again, going back to the schools, we could potentially reach out to the younger kids, like eighth, ninth, seventh, eighth, ninth grade, and get them interested in personal finance. I know that they have those courses at the high school, but it goes back to one of the things that I talked about when we were brainstorming, which is to partner with a local bank to start the kids in first grade and do like a penny bank where they would actually, save their money in a piggy bank. And once they reached 100 pennies, that the bank would be willing to, set up a fake bank at the school or whatever, where they could deposit their money and earn interest on their pennies. To get them in the habit of paying attention to the pennies that grow into dollars. And it comes straight out of that penny bank enrichment. So it might be something, it's a longer range vision, but it might be something to do to, once they hit high school, they'll be more aware and won't mess up their credit and then can move forward in their adult lives.
So the parents want to withdraw the funds for the electric bill.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right.
No,
You're done?
okay.
I'm still trying to figure out there's a new pole barn that went up over in my district and I'm still trying to find out exactly if it's gonna be business or somebody private pole barn.
Yeah, I saw that.
And so I'm keeping an eye on, trying to find out what I can just because I'm being nosy. And then Sabra bought out, right, so we've got the mulch and stuff that's still, yeah, Sebra, sorry. Sebra bought out, so they're back in business there, doing a bang up job. And I think from my district, I don't have anything else.
I'm still getting caught up, having been out for several weeks in June. I got nothing.
Okay.
Okay. I have a couple of things. I did meet with the Boys and Girls Club in Lancaster because of the project that we're doing here in Northumberland. So we met with them today and I did some research for them on the new market tax credits, which is a program for low-income communities. And I have some information here with the CDIs that we actually assist with funds. And the minimum is 5 million to obtain this money. But what happened is that with some of the local banks that are not, some of them are CRA, Community Reinvestment Act. So some of them are CRA certified and some are not. I do know that our bank is CRA certified, and in doing the research and talking to Cindy, I think she sent me some information from Governor Youngkin's office. They, Truist received 60 million last year, the CDI funds.
Wow.
Yes, for community development. So the closest one, so I have a meeting with the grant writers of Truist to assist the Boys and Girls Club, and hopefully we'll just all come together with this project that they're doing here in Heathfield. But also what's happening is that the local, what I found out doing the research is that the local branch managers was like, what's that? So, so they didn't know about it. So I just recommended using the Saluda branch because that's the closest to the northern neck to actually, funnel it through. So I'm assisting with that project. And again, it's the new market tax credits that has rolled out. And what's happening is that these funds come from the Department of Treasury. They come from the Department of Treasury. So it's actually, and what they do is they put the funds as far as the tax credits in a pool and they allocate it to the local banks and nonprofit organizations, business organizations that want to do any revitalization to the community.
Is there any involvement with that program with there's a new advisory group for banks in Northumberland County? I think Keith Harris, I think Linwood's on it. Are they connected at all to what's going on?
I mean, I know.
That was premise specific.
Oh, that was, okay, wrong one, sorry.
Okay.
All right.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
You're saying the local branch, the Truist branch officer, that person wasn't familiar with this particular program?
No, my local banks here,
Weren't familiar with the program or weren't familiar with CRA?
they weren't familiar with the program.
Okay.
Right.
So please tell me they're familiar with CRA.
No, they should be familiar with CRA, but no, they were not familiar with the CDE programs, the new market tax credits program that's out, issued by the Department of Treasury. So I have some information.
Oh, that'd be great.
For
if you
that,
can see if
yes.
there's others that would be.
Yes.
This might be one of those things that we have to try to figure out how to put on the website, right? For the other people that can share it and apply, like,
Yeah.
at least have some kind of broadcast for the businesses in the local area and the
Yes.
nonprofits that want to take a look at it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So I did that and then I have that information and doing that research. And the only other thing I wanted to know from you all, what happened to the store, the little country store in
Oh,
Horsehead? What
that's
happened?
a dispute with the landlord, my understanding is.
Oh,
Now he's down in Reedville.
okay.
So, my understanding is there was some kind of question on rent. I don't know if it was a dispute, so I take that back. My understanding is there was some type of question on rent. And the country store has now moved over into Reedville.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Is it Jeff?
Country store's always been.
Is that Jeff's?
No,
Yeah, Jeff's Country Store. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
The one that used to be Wacomico Church that moved over to Brooks Head, that moved over to Reedville. Yeah,
never mind.
different store.
Okay, so now but they have.
It's like it's the country market, I think it's called. But yeah,
Okay.
that's what I have been able to unearth so far.
Okay.
All right. All right, Commissioner Corner.
Shoot, I do have one more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
I went to the new market that opened in Kinsale.
Oh.
And it's awesome. It's in that old white building just before you get to the bridge. And they have a food truck parked outside, so you can grab a sandwich. You can eat inside even though you buy it outside. And they have picnic tables set up, but it's a great shop for specialty cheeses and specialty meat and, tea and coffee, wine, beer, things that you don't find at Walmart or Food Lion, you could probably find there. There's a whole case of cheeses. They had duck prosciutto.
Oh my gosh.
It was like,
Oh, my.
okay,
Wow.
I'll be back here.
what's
You
the
know-
name of this place?
I'm sorry,
What's the name of the place?
I couldn't
It's a
tell
place over
you
in Kinsale.
if somebody. It's the new place
Kinsel's
over-
not that
it's
big.
before the bridge, come on.
For the Nominate Bridge.
Before the creek, right?
It's in what?
I will, I don't know if I grabbed a card or not. I'll look after the meeting.
Okay.
But the people are really nice and it's beautifully merchandised, so if you need something special, that's
where you can go.
Yeah.
All right. Robert, you're up.
So the first order of business, the ARPA tourism project, we completed all of our invoicing at the end of June. We met our suspense for that. Total amount that we were able to spend was $69,403.31.
Yay.
Yeah, did pretty good. Really good.
How much?
That's how much we spent. That's a typo right there. It's 694,000.
Does that match, Drew, what you have?
It does, because we had roughly like 5,000 and
There was some
change.
change that we, right,
Yeah.
right, okay.
So that was 64, not 69, correct?
There's good math.
Especially 70,000.
There you go.
Yeah, the whole thing was
64,000,
70,
my
right,
fault.
64. Okay.
That's why I was.
So we closed out all the billing, all the invoices, and then we're just gonna write up a little after action report and put
Yeah,
that in our files.
so now we reconcile, Mary's gonna be working with
Okay.
Lisa, getting all the invoices finalized.
She's got all the invoices, she just needs to get copies of the checks that were written to go.
All right, so when we're done, we're gonna put a little report together, I'll take a look at it, and we can get posted on the web. Okay, but we gotta get everything closed out. Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you. Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah.
I remember fall, we were all sitting around figuring, oh my gosh, how are we gonna get this money by December 3rd, we're suspended, we had that emergency meeting, so nice job in getting it and everything done and getting this stuff done. And Drew, thank you, I know you had to push some buttons to get some of the bids in and move things forward, so.
It was an interesting process, to say the least.
From which we learned a great deal. All right,
The other topic was the kayak brochures. We had some been going back and forth with some minor changes, little tweaks to it. It's in final printing. It's been final printing as of today. So hopefully we should be getting the copies, hopefully by the end of the week, but I'll reach back to Roger and see where we're at.
so the next question I'm gonna ask is, how are we distributing those, and are we making a copy available online for download?
We will make a copy available for download. We haven't discussed
Okay.
how we want to distribute those.
So we need to figure out.
Mike, our the one who designed it, said he wanted to get some so he could, for placement as well too. I figured we could probably do
All right, we'll
that.
take a look. I had promised at the last meeting that I would take a look at, try to find, no, not last one, May, some places where we can distribute. If everybody has some ideas about where, I know we need to get them at the library because they've got a rack of stuff there. We need to get them at the visitor center that's funded by the county,
Yes.
at the chamber office.
Yes.
So we've got to get that taken care of, and then we can figure out some other ones. Okay.
Perfect. Internship, we do have the notice posted on the county website. My candidate is at the British Virgin Islands with his family,
Okay.
and hopefully he'll return. I think he'll return this weekend.
Do you think we're still gonna get bites since we're close? I mean, the kids are gonna go back to school.
I'm not sure. We'll see. If anything, this has been a good pilot for us to get this kick started, and we'll just keep it out there.
And we can also, when I get to the point where I talk about what I've been working on with the school, like, there might be some folks we've got interested at the high school that might wanna
Sure.
do just a little bit. Okay,
The budget for 2024, 2025, our budget was approved. We had requested $16,892, and that's exactly what we received.
so we were fully funded, and
Fully
then
funded.
how much of that is discretionary? I know we've got salaries and like, we've got money that's set aside, and I just can't remember how much, like, we had like 2,800 we asked for as discretionary for our QR code thing.
I don't know. Let me, I'll get the breakdown.
If we can add that into the minutes, please, when, put that in for the next.
Yep.
Because I know we're gonna wanna take a look at what projects we wanna fund with those resources.
Put that at the table for
Because
sure.
we have a QR code created now, we did the video.
Excuse me. Last night, I went to the Northern Neck Plains District Commission meeting. It was held over at the Westmoreland Park. Pretty interesting. Two major topics came out. I'll be brief. Shannon Kennedy came from Rappahannock Community College to talk about the grant that they received. If you all hadn't seen that on the news, they received a $5.1 million
Yeah,
grant.
for the health thing, the health
Yep.
facility.
They're going to build a 9,000 square foot facility for a nursing program. It's going to be for cardiography. So they'll have they will be teaching students to become licensed echocardiographers.
Which in English is a heart thing.
Yep.
I got the cardio part, right?
Sonogram for
The
heart.
graphy is picture, I got it.
So I think that's a good, there's great potential within the Northern Neck and within the county because we're definitely lacking with medical facilities. Who knows what that means, if the nurses are gonna say, okay, I got my certification, now I'm gonna go run up to Northern Virginia where it's better salaries.
Yep.
Hopefully, we could try and curb that.
Or we can get maybe some down here working. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Well, the thing about it is that we'll be able to keep them here because if in Northern Virginia, looking at, trying to find a condo
Yeah, no.
under $500,000 was
That's
next
a
to
very, very good
impossible.
point.
And I had a doctor that just came out and she had to rent because we couldn't find anything. No.
Mark Mansfield talked to us about the Northern Neck Regional Dredging Project. It's been a 10-year project. The good news is within Northumberland County, we've been approved to go into phase 3 for 2 major dredging capabilities. We have others that are good, strong candidates, but there's only been 5 to go through the first phase 3. Cranes Creek and the Little
That's
Wacomico are the 2 that they're going to be looking at.
Isn't Little Wacomico the same one that we were talking about at the board meeting the other day?
Yes.
Right? Yeah, Cranes Creek is mine, but, well, not mine, but that's the mouth of my creek.
Mhm.
But the Little Wacomico, I thought we were trying to work with the Corps of Engineers to expedite that.
It's all tied
Yeah.
into.
It's all
tied
tied
together.
together. Okay.
The gentleman that was
Okay.
speaking now was one of the ones
All
that
right,
wanted
thank
me
you.
with,
Thank you for making that connection.
So that's really good news. And like I said, it was really interesting. Northumberland County had the lion's share of creeks that they were looking at across the Northern Neck. But those are the 2 that made the final for the first phase of this.
Yeah.
The downside is that the next 10 years will turn into 12 years
Most
before
likely,
they do it again.
absolutely. Did you want me to talk about OneDrive, or are you gonna do that?
Yeah, no, go ahead,
Okay,
please.
so
Please.
with Karen's encouragement, we were able to get OneDrive set up so that you all have a shared location for me to deposit any information for to reach and for you to grab and for you to put information in there as well. I created a folder color coded to our voting district map. So you have your district
Okay.
folder,
Thanks.
we have the commissioners folder. And then we have, I'll start putting in all the other things such as the ARPA, the strategic plan. Basically, it'll be our repository for anything.
So this will be an internal repository for the purposes of public records. Everything will still be available on the website. So any reports or any final products that we have will still be going up on the county website under the EDC site and incorporated into the minutes with a hyperlink. But it's really becoming increasingly evident to me that there's things that are, I mean, we don't have any of the information from the past EDCs, right, in terms of studies that were done, work that was done. We've got, kind of things that we're working on that would be so much better if we had a shared drive on which we could comment. So for clarification, for public record, this is not a replacement or a circumvention of the Public Records Act. And what we need to do as a commission, it's a working place where we can put stuff. Because, the email that we were gonna send out for this, because of all the stuff that we have, was gonna be like huge with all the documents that are kind of floating around. So rest assured, everything will still be available publicly on the website. When it's
That's all.
done. Yep, okay. Cool. Drew.
The suspense is killing everybody. All points broadband.
Uh-oh.
I had an update today. All locations in the county can sign up for and pay the installation charge, not including the portion of 1,000 feet. However, there's still some areas not quite ready for full service, but if they're in the point where they're letting you sign up, they are thinking they're 60 to 90 days.
They're done with the grant part of it.
That's the Valley grant
Okay.
part, yes. And then once they get everything through that, then they'll move on to the beads portion, which is part of the bipartisan infrastructure bill. But that still has to be released to the state and then from DHC to the counties for
Okay.
their particular part. So that's kind of where we are. So we are making some good headway, getting near the closeout on the Valley part at least to be able to try to move forward with other, the next phases.
Nice.
Just want to give everybody that update.
Thank you.
That's all I.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay,
We've been tied up with ARPA so much, that's all.
Yeah.
I had a question for Lynn. Did we, and maybe it may come under new business, but did we have any information regarding that ferry? They were doing it from Baltimore.
There was a study that we.
Was there a report
received.
done? No, that it was this.
Oh, no, you know
got
what? I
it.
did not follow up on that, Melissa.
Okay.
I will do that and I will email,
Okay, that's fine.
I will email
Yeah,
that
because it was
final.
supposed to be
It was supposed to be,
ready in July, I thought.
July 17th.
I know that,
Yeah, it was the finalized study that Maryland did.
right, and all their counties were coming
And all the-
together to do
they
a
had like
ferry
7
from
counties,
Baltimore
right.
right
Seven.
on down, and we wanted to see, because they're coming so close
They're
to the
coming,
Virginia line,
they're coming to St. Mary's.
to St.
Well,
Mary's.
that was a consideration, that
Right.
final report, you're right. Thank you, I will follow up
Okay.
and shoot that out if I can find it.
Okay.
Do that, and then if we can summarize that Lisa Hull had gotten back to Robert and said, look, I don't really know that much about it, but then she said, oh yeah, at one point we looked at this. So if you can pass that along to Robert, if you can bundle it together, the report plus what we found out from Lisa Hull,
Okay.
then we can have that as one set of information to go to the board. Thank you.
Did you read that report that Virginia did? The one that was sent out, the old report,
The old one that Lisa gave us, right? No, I didn't.
the old one that Lisa shared?
I did not read it.
It was not favorable at all.
Well, that's why it'd be interesting to see what happens when the Maryland one comes out,
Mhm.
to see if theirs is a little bit different or if it's the same.
They cited, just off the top of my head, and I didn't read it for comprehension, I skimmed it. Unlike our eighth graders, but it was talking about traffic, parking and amenities wherever those ferry stops were going to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it really was not favorable at all, and their economic forecast based on the amount of traffic that the areas could handle was not great enough to cover the funding that was required to set up the infrastructure, basically the bottom line of the old report. Now, I can't imagine it would come back differently than that, but
That's why it'd be interesting to see what the
Nothing's
Maryland report
but
says.
Maryland is, you know, a different kind of place than Virginia. So
Let's see what
we'll
they
see
say.
what they come up with, but thank you, Melissa.
Thank you for, yeah. All right, new business. Okay, I got a couple of things, but I'll wait. Do you have any new business?
No.
Melissa?
No.
Maurice?
Negative.
All right, here I'm gonna go. So, easy things first, if I can call it that. So, what we decided to do at our May meeting was, instead of going full bore with a strategic plan, because we were waiting on the planning commission to do some things, we were gonna hone it down to some strategic action items. So we have a couple of the goals that were turned in. Robert has the, if you will, the listing of them. Robert is pulling together what those proposed action items and metrics were, and we're gonna take a look at that at our next meeting to see where we want to prioritize certain action items that are gonna be achievable for us with clear measures, so that we can then move forward while we're still doing a little bit of planning.
Okay.
So I don't want you to think that that has gone by the wayside. We had, so business license, we received a copy from Stuart McKenzie, so at the May, I think, Board of Supervisors meeting, they authorized the planning commission to do some exploration on business licensing. That's one of the documents that's now on the shared drive. This is a pre-deliberative and pre-decisional document that was given to us for comment. I've taken a look at it, and I'd like you guys to take a look at it and give your feedback, so that if we're asked as the EDC, we can take an action in our next meeting to finalize what our position would be. I have to tell you, when I've looked at this is not an analysis. This is an ad hoc expository, if you will. There is no clear problem statement. The data that are supposed to be gathered from this particular list, business license requirement, already exist. So there's no need to collect them again. And absent a problem to solve and missing data, there's no compelling reason to have a business license requirement in Northumberland County. So I'm gonna let you guys take a look at it now that you know my opinion, which you guys knew before. You've known that for months.
We know you.
But I did talk, I asked the vice chair of the planning commission exactly what problem we're trying to solve, and the planning commission hasn't identified one. So, that is where we're at with this, and again, the EDC, we can take up a position at our August meeting. After you guys look at this, then we can make I guess some feedback, and give that to the planning commission. So what I'm gonna do is go back to planning commissioner, or Robert, if you can get back to Stuart to let him know that we did share the information with the commissioners. They're going to take a look at it, and they will get our formal feedback after the August meeting. If they want informal feedback, I'm happy to share, at least what I say from my district.
I was there at that meeting when they decided to ask the supervisors for,
Yeah,
and you're right. For lack of a better term, the problem assumption was that Northumberland County doesn't have the ability to track people that are conducting business. Kind of weird.
so we do, right? So again,
I don't know that would fix it.
take a look at this, and so there is information, so I'm gonna segue then into a conversation that we had with Jacob McCaleb from the Bay Consortium Workforce Development Board. Oh, and I do have a budget thing too, I forgot to mention this in the budget, I'll get back to that. So we had a really good conversation with Jacob, this was on June 3rd. So Drew and Robert and I met with Jacob. He's new to the Workforce Development Board. That's the Bay Consortium Group. They've got some central resources. What we found out is they have some resources that can support the county with job posting, career fairs, workforce recruiting. We talked about partnering with them the next time they do a job fair. There have been job fairs in the neighboring counties, of which, and with Northumberland County has not participated. They just haven't had it. So we asked to make sure that the next time there's a local job fair, we're included in that. And actually, I'm gonna ask you guys tonight if I have your permission to move forward with a Northumberland County specific job fair. Part of the information that Jacob provided us was that the names of the workforce recruitment person and the youth influencer. We're gonna meet, Drew and Robert and I are gonna meet with both of those folks, and then we're gonna invite them to a discovery session. Because what we're gonna try to do is make sure we can hone in on some precise areas for, that would benefit us as a group to hear about. They have, Jacob was very enthusiastic and full of a lot of information. And I think it would be helpful if we directed some of that energy in a space where we kind of have maybe the most need. And so if we had all three of them here, I think it could easily be a 3-hour conversation if we're not careful. So I want to make sure that you guys get a good introduction. We have some documentation that we can send forward. There's some data that they have on their site. And one of the pieces of data that he sent us was a listing of all the employers in Northumberland County.
Do we
Hence-
have verification that it's complete?
Well, I don't care if it's complete. It's got over like
It's
400.
from the
Right?
Virginia Employment
Right,
Commission.
so it's from the Virginia,
So that's
it's
probably
based on
closest we can
employers who
reasonably
pay
get.
taxes.
Yeah.
Now, Calorie Dairy Freeze is still on there, so, there might be, 1 or 2 businesses that are there that aren't there, right? So the idea that we don't have an understanding of the businesses that are in this county and what they do and where the gaps are, I think is
Erroneous.
is erroneous. It's a fallacy that we have to dispel. So that's one of the pieces of data that I think we're gonna try to post on our internal site. We're asking Jacob right now, I've gone through the site and I cannot replicate this report. So Robert is gonna check with him to see if this is data that we can actually pull or if it's like behind a firewall. Because I did pull the data down from the document he gave us and I'm sorting it. I'm asking Robert if we can get some help with the county to figure out which businesses are which district, so I can pass that list to everybody and you can have
That would be awesome.
that information to start with. And I also want to make sure that I think there's some PII in there, but the question is whether it's PII or LLC. We have to take a look at this before, and that may be why it's behind a firewall. So we're still looking at the data, but it's one of the things that we can post on the repository. I'm not ready to make that public because of this question on PII. And we're not going to do that to folks in the county if we don't know what the source of those data are. So it was a good meeting. He also shared with us some potential flyers we can use. We learned, I think, that they've been helping a lot of folks in Lancaster County and recruiting for employees, and so that's something we want to learn more about. And then this idea of a youth influencer that helps people understand how to go, I don't even know exactly what he does other than influences youth, but he's got, we want to talk to him because he gets the message out to the high school kids and the younger kids about what can happen.
He's got some virtual reality equipment that he'll take to the schools and do like a job fair, whatever you want to call it, career day.
Mhm.
And the kids can come in and get on the VR equipment and they can get an idea of what it's like to be a welder, to be a mechanic. It kind of like all different fields, it has something for you to actually not be hands-on, so to speak, but to be right there front and center, kind of in an observing mode to get an idea of what you would be doing and see if it's something that interests you. Among other, and he's constantly reaching out to the schools and kids and stays in contact, but he can explain it far better.
So we're gonna bring him in.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, it sounds like you need to go through the tech center.
Well, so again, you may want
Right.
to, so we also, we talked with them to find out like what they have in terms of, partnerships. That's where Robert was talking about, they have some leads on grants and resources where you can retrain somebody if they're moving from this type of career, this type of career. There are resources for an employer to kind of retrain them. There's also resources where, this is gonna lead into my conversation with the school, there's resources where you can actually pay somebody to work at one of the local businesses part-time. You pay that salary so the business doesn't have to eat that salary while they're seeing if that, like, they can have somebody work, part-time or something, right? So we're still kind of digging into everything that they have because frankly, for me, even for me, and I can process a lot of information and he talked faster than I did. Yeah, see, Robert's like, yeah, he did. Drew's like, oh my God, it was terrible. Yeah, both sides of the table, I couldn't keep up. So we're looking at how to bring all that information into a cohesive format so we can identify some of the problems that we have and where we'd like solutions. But I promise that you guys we'll have a discovery session with them and figure out what the best, you can ask all the questions that you want. Yep.
The one thing we do need to keep in mind is they are spread very thin because their region covers from Fredericksburg area, Northern Neck, Middle Peninsula, and Eastern Shore.
Yeah,
So
they're,
they've got a big part of the map that they have to cover and they're on the road constantly. So you try to schedule them when you can and they will get back to you. It might not be 5-10 minutes. It might be by the end of the week type thing, but they get to you as soon as they can. But they are here to help. It's just the way that department's laid out, it's very thin.
so, and to help Jacob manage his workload, Robert's our conduit and point of contact with them so that he also doesn't get overwhelmed. I offered to go up there and volunteer, but I think it's gonna be a little bit of time before to figure out like exactly what they do and where would be the best place, because I want access to those data and those resources, right? So I figure the county can use it and it's only up in Warsaw. So eventually we'll make a field trip up there, but
I just wanted to let everybody know that side of it, so we haven't heard back from them. We haven't know, just who we want, it's who we want to be partnering with.
Yeah.
It's just gonna take some time for them to be able to get back to you sometimes.
and that leads me into the conversation that I've been having with the school. So in June, I met with Jay Lightfoot, who was the CTE program coordinator at the high school. He's no longer there. He's left to go start a new program in another county. But I talked with him and he said that probably one of the things that we could do, I was sharing with him our desire to have like a job fair. He said, well, look, have career fairs too. So I shared the idea about, having people come in at an early age and expose people to different careers, talked about having a job fair. The grants that they applied for last February, the school didn't end up getting. But that doesn't mean that they can't reapply for it next year. This was for the drone program that they were talking about. And there were some Go Virginia matching funds that they could have gotten. So we may take a look at that again. He suggested, he's got partners at Rappahannock Community College, Mary Washington, and the Tech Center. And I have the names of those folks to reach out to. One of the things I wanted to do in this meeting was find out with whom the school's already partnering. Because I don't want it like us in the county tripping over each other. If I reach out to Northern Neck Tech Center and they're like, oh, we're already working with so-and-so at the school. And I say, oh, I didn't know that. For as small as counties we are, that's not to me an acceptable answer. So I wanted to make sure I connected with the school first and then also found out who their POCs were. So since Jay has expressed an interest, he still lives over in Meadville, and he's expressed an interest in keeping up with what's going on. But I had a conversation with Dr. Burns, Dr. Travis Burns. Travis, are you on the line? He might not be. He had another meeting that he thought he was going to have to attend. I had a meeting with Dr. Burns. I'd say earlier this week, but I don't know what today is. So it must have been yesterday. I had a meeting with Dr. Burns this week to talk a little bit more about how we can partner with the school. At this time, he's going to be our point of contact until they can do some shifting maybe of workload in the school. I come to you guys tonight to ask for your permission to pursue a job/career fair for the county. That will be specific to Northumberland. It will be held at the high school. He has graciously agreed to hold it at the high school. He'll work with me to try to get the fee waived for holding it there. It would probably be in the third week of October. It can't be the fourth week because that's homecoming. So he said Ixnay, anything there. And he said they would run it, we could partner to run it similar to what they do when they have the college fair. So there would be tables, we could have employers, they would help us, get some people involved. I would argue that we would want not just students, but we want to open it up to the community if we have people who are unemployed or seeking employment.
Absolutely.
So what the idea is to connect local employers with potential employees and introduce students to careers available in Northumberland County. I have a piece of paper here I wrote up and I did not send out. I would envision a small effort. I don't want to have it snowball and get out of control, but it'll be the first thing that we've done that's concrete in terms of all the things that we've been talking about. We would reach out to different businesses using that list that Jacob has provided us. We would reach out to different businesses to see who has job openings. And if you don't have a current opening, even if you'd like to participate in the fair to, have a table so people could see maybe if we're going to be hiring in the spring or different times. So we would need to identify, local businesses, recruit some people to assist with job coaching. Melissa, this gets to what you've been talking about. He shared that there is a gap right now within the school system for job coaching and some life skills.
Yes.
And I think one of the things we know about this county is we have a wealth of people who have come here that have incredible backgrounds and experience. So Dr. Burns did mention that they had tried something like that at the school a few years ago, and they didn't quite match the kids with the right quote unquote mentors or job coaches, if you will. And so sometimes the relationships didn't work and it kind of fizzled. So we would have to, in order to get something like that to work, you'd have to have some kind of matching and a navigator, if you will, at the school. And that might take a little bit more effort than what we currently have resources for, but it would give us some time to recruit some people in the county. So I'd also want to seek some sponsorship for maybe some refreshments. We would hold it in the evening. It'd be something you want to hold in the evening, and we offer, refreshments and have, families come. So what I'd like to do is ask if you guys are comfortable. I don't want to do anything without at least sharing this with the board of supervisors first. So if you guys are comfortable with the EDC creating a partnership with the school and hosting a job fair in October, I'd like your opinion on that so that I can either move forward or hold off.
I'm all for it. I think it's a fabulous opportunity, as you said, not just for the students, but for anyone that might be looking for a job. And conversely, employers that are looking, if we do, people come seeking a job, they may be looking for this job, but there may be another employer that would spark their interest that might be as good a fit. So I'm all for it.
So your thumbs up,
I'm totally thumbs up.
okay?
And I'll help organize whatever you
Oh,
want me
good,
to do.
thank you.
I'm totally thumbs up with it. When I say we don't know what we don't know, that doesn't apply to just EDC. That applies to the schools, how they need to contribute. Because that's a discovery that, based on some of the things you've already said, the matching, that exploration needs to happen, and it does require a lot of work and time. And I see the schools as being an asset to participate in that. And then you've got the employers, there's that half of the matching equation. Yes, by all means, this has to happen. I just wrote down a question here. What's the magnitude of unfulfilled need, both on the employer side and the potential employees side? Because we don't know, we can't quantify that. And that's actually probably the first thing that we have as assets that needs to grow first.
So we might get a sense of that, right? So we can
Right.
start, and then there's a job board idea I want to come back to. Melissa, what are your thoughts?
I'm definitely thumbs up, and I will assist with whatever that is needed. And then my question is is it local employers
Yes.
only?
Right now, I'm going to start with the county. So when we branch out to what Jacob was doing, they bring other employers in.
Right.
Right now, I'd like to, if we can, focus on the county since this is our first one. Now, if we get approached by somebody from another county and they want to play, I think it would be awful hard to say no.
No, I was asking because, again, I got another young youth in the shipyard.
Yep,
Last week.
congratulations.
So that's number 7 that I've assisted with getting a job starting at the shipyard.
And I'd like to be, once we get, part of this is because we've never done this before as a group, I'd like to cut our teeth with something small and local.
Yeah.
And then once we learn and we can get some procedures in place, then we can expand it and then we can maybe have it, different. So I'm not objecting at all. I'd also like to start keeping people in the county if we could, and then the housing is a whole other issue. So your thumbs up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
One of the other pieces of information that we learned from Jacob is the Bay Consortium Group has a job board. They've got this whiteboard in Warsaw. You can send information and they post these jobs up. So one of the things that we talked with him about was potentially creating a whiteboard at the courthouse where we could have employers post jobs. Now, again, as we start to reach out to the employers that are in our districts to participate in this fair, there may be that may engender some other conversations that we need to have about how we could help, how do we match employers. So I look at this as kind of our initial foray. This is our first big initiative as a full council to outreach. And yes, I'm gonna reach out to the chamber again. Because I did ask the county administration, what are they doing with their money? Are they gonna give a report to the Board of Supervisors? They got, let's see, if I'm correct on this, they asked for 14 and they got 13. And then the Tourism Commission also got 7,500. I don't know if that's all combined together or separate. Yeah, the chamber requested 15 and they got 14. So we need to understand what is happening with those resources, because if they're out working with the community and they're gonna host a job fair, I certainly don't want us to be doing the same thing. So I'm gonna reach out to the chamber again to see if I can get any traction on some of these questions. All right, so thumbs up on moving forward with the job fair. Okay. It will be Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday night. One of those nights. We're gonna stay away from Mondays and Fridays. And we will put together a short description that we can send to the Board of Supervisors. I think, Drew, I think this is kind of an awareness for them. I mean, we don't need an action. We're not asking to spend any money.
I don't think.
There's no-
action. I
we
mean,
just
you
need
can
to-
you can have one if you want one, but I don't. think-
Yeah, I don't want one. That's too bureaucratic. We're
You
just
said
gonna
in
talk with
October,
them.
correct?
Yeah, and I just have to figure out, working with the school, what the right date is, because, they've got other things
If it's the
happening.
third week, the planning commission will meet that Thursday night, and we would normally meet that Tuesday night, so I don't know if you want to make it our meeting.
We could. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's just a
yeah.
thought. It's-
When is hunting season? It doesn't start till November, right?
Right.
Okay, we'll be good there. Okay.
Right, and then we don't know, because if we use the inside the school, I don't know what sports are going on.
Well, that's why I talked to Dr.
Okay.
Burns about it, and he said they'd probably be pretty, if we stick to this 2-week window in October, we should be pretty good. But again, I have to work with him to get it on the calendar. And we have to go to the school board, we have to fill out a facility use request. And he thinks that they'll probably, normally they waive the fees, we can ask for the fees to be waived. If they don't, I'm happy to pop for them because they're not that expensive. That is not in any way, shape, or form an indication to the school board that I don't want to waive the fees if you're watching this. However.
And can, with this, as far as the employers that's actually coming out, because some of them may want to come and set up with the job fair, but, I guess it depends on their hours, open and close.
Well, that's all,
So
we
then
have to, or we could open it the night
Or
before,
Saturday.
right? We
Yeah.
could, so they could come in the evening and set up, and then, so these are things I have to work out with Jay. I asked them if there would be electricity and if they could, if they could have computers if they wanted, right? We want to actually have maybe even little booths set up where you could do interviews right there,
Mhm.
right? So, I'd love to find out some job coaching, like have a couple people on hand that can help, like you do with the resumes.
Yes.
So I'd like to be able to have that there as well, because that also, I think, will help some of the students in the school and potentially maybe people that come in for the job fair to understand their resources to help them out with some of these things. Resume writing is not something that everyone is
No.
good at, right? Interview skills are not something
Yeah.
everyone's good at.
That's right.
So if we can help start that conversation, and then when Dr. Burns and I chatted, there were other things that we would like to pursue that are in line with some of the strategic actions we've talked about in the school system and, with the career days, et cetera. But we really want to get, this successfully completed to see how it goes before we bite off anything else.
I think it's gonna go well regardless, because the lessons learned, even if it appears on its face to look like it didn't go well, the lessons learned are gonna mean that it went well. We're gonna get something.
We'll get something.
Right.
Just not the weekend of the 12th.
Okay, no, this would be probably after Columbus Day, but before like the week, right? There's probably a narrow window in there we can do that, but that's, again, I have to work with him to make sure we're getting the scheduling right. And then, of course, I want to make sure, I don't know, first thing about how to get information out to people. I mean, that's going to be another, we can work on all the details. It's not that I haven't thought about it and I've got a list of stuff. Imagine, I already created a list, right? So there's a list of things that I've started to think about, but it was really just to try to prepare for tonight to get you guys' reaction and then write up a short little blurb that we can send over for the Board of Supervisors for their August meeting. Okay, thank you guys for entertaining that, for that lengthy description of all the new things. And now we're on to citizen engagement. Robert, I'll turn it back over to you.
You, Robert.
Yeah. So we have two groups here. We have folks from Lancaster, Northumberland Habitat for Humanity. And we have Mr. Wayne Legary from the Tavern.
Yes, the woodwork is good.
Okay. And I believe with engagement, we'll let you all provide us your information that you came here to provide us.
Okay, thank you. My name is Eddie Witcher. I'm the president of Lancaster, Northumberland Habitat for Humanity, and have been so. I've been on the board for almost 6 years and been president for like the last 5 or so. 5 years ago, we were struggling economically. We were trying to get our act together. We were having issues in terms of numbers of volunteers and so on. So the last few years, we've done a very good job of increasing the level of expertise that we have on the board today. We're materially different in terms of the people. You could call us a working board. We don't really have an executive director any longer, but the board does everything that there is to do except man the restore next door to status. That includes grant writing and family selection. We manage our own construction projects, and it just goes on and on and on. The reason that we're here, and also our financial condition is much, much improved from 5 years ago. Anyway, the reason that we're here is that we would like to have a stronger relationship with Northumberland County. Because of the strength that we've got on the board and our confidence in the grant writing that we have done and the awards that we have recently received, we think that we would like to partner with both Lancaster and Northumberland, different projects, obviously. But what we're focused on is low to moderate income housing and workforce housing. I want to go back for a minute and talk about Jimmy at Bay Auto. And you're right, they have and if this is true with any skilled labor position in both Lancaster and in Northumberland, that includes HVAC mechanics, it includes septic installation people, it includes auto repair, marine repair, marine mechanics. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. And so the big issue is that the region is having difficulty attracting and retaining younger people to both work and live here. So you have to go back and think, what are the things that will make the region attractive for, say, someone in the 20 to 30, maybe 40-year-old range? So you have to be thinking about what do they do in their off time? What kind of job do they have? Where do they live? The environment. And then, what do they do in their off time? Where the socialization and so on. And it's not just tools that we need to provide somebody, so they can be a mechanic or something like that. We have to create an environment where there is an attraction and we can actually expect people might move from, say, Virginia Beach or Norfolk or Richmond or Northern Virginia and coming to this area for a specific reason, maybe a job at Bay Auto. But at the same time, there's housing available. There's a school system that is attractive that they want to put their kid into. They won't have to depend upon private schools. There are things to do. Actually, the things to do thing, I believe, is kind of a minimum thing. You don't really have to do anything developmentally because if you like to hunt, fish, and do water things, there are plenty of recreation things here. And there's not very much competition for restaurant seats either, by the way. But the thing that we're short on is the education environment and the housing environment, and then trying to connect those things to the jobs that are available here. So what a lot of times you see is, let's suppose you've got a nurse or a doctor or, some professional person, an attorney, might be working in Lancaster or Northumberland, but they live someplace else. They're commuting back and forth to, say, Mechanicsville or to Gloucester or someplace like that. But let me get back to the main reason that we're here, and that is we expect that we're going to see grant opportunities from HUD or Department of Agriculture or from the state that are going to be focused on moderate housing units and possibly workforce housing. And it's our intention to find some way to partner with Northumberland so that we can, craft a grant application that might be successful and then actually build units that would be available here, either for rent or for purchase, one of the two. And that's the reason that we're here. I mean, that's the baseline reason. We've had the same conversation with Lancaster. A little bit of our history in the our last 4 bills, 3 out of the last 4 have been in Northumberland. We did Mila Road. We've got one.
That was taking forever.
I'm sorry?
That was taking a long time.
Yeah,
I
right.
drive by it every day.
Yeah. Well, we build one house a year. I mean,
Right.
so.
But congratulations, though.
But they
Yeah.
had maybe 4 guys.
I know, that's what, it's so
Over
cute when you
70.
watch them, like, then the house, so anyway, but congratulations, because it's, yeah.
And so the next one, we did one on Gaskin Road in Lancaster. Then we have build number 22 that we're almost finished with now. That's on Lakeview in Swan Harbor. And that should be done in another maybe month or 2, something like that. And then the next one we're doing is on Damerton Road near Callio. But the other part is that, we are in a position where we have the expertise that we can apply to making applications to get a grant for multi-units. They could be single family, they could be rentals. I don't know what they're going to look like yet. But when the opportunities come along, we're going to be back here coming to you, asking if you want to partner with us. And I'd like for you to know who we are before we ask.
Thank you.
Good
call.
Thank you for advance planning.
Right.
Yeah. You'll be getting a call from me tomorrow morning.
All right,
These are-
I'll give you my card.
Our
Okay.
expert in.
And by the way, Al Ross, he's a co-chair of our development group. And you can talk a little bit about the grants that we've done recently.
I'm a little reluctant to brag on things because you'll think we're doing so well, we don't need any help.
No, you came to us to ask for help first. Now you can tell us how successful you are. And then we can work.
We've had a good grant season. And I'm just listening to the conversation here, you all are familiar with grant writing and how that works. And, the same amount of effort goes into asking for $5,000 that goes into asking for $5 million. But we've received grants this year from Grace Church, from River Counties. But the big one, the biggie, and it was in the rap record, I think the last issue, we got an $86,000, $87,000 grant from Virginia Housing, which, in our financial situation is huge. That essentially reimburses us for the Bill 22 that's going on in Swan Creek, Swan Harbor, and will, everything's a creek around here. How do we- right? And will allow us to get an early start on Bill 23. So what I think you might have gathered from what Eddie said was we're kind of in transition. And we've been building one house a year. And the reason it takes a year is that we only work 2 days a week and it's all, volunteers.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that you all know how Habitat works. We're not building houses and giving them away, that, the people are invested in what's going on. But our clientele has been mostly single mothers, very deserving people. But what we're looking at is how can we do a greater amount of good for a greater number of people? And what we have realized, as Eddie said, is that there are U.S. Department of Agriculture rural loans. This is obviously a rural area and we're fully eligible, but are you all familiar with Section 502 loans? Okay. That is an area that, unlike a lot of government programs, is fully funded. And in fact, they end up by not spending all their money every year for lack of qualified applicants. But
Okay.
what that will allow us to do is to partner with either workforce or greater number of families to help them get these 502 loans, no PMI, no down, 100% loans, which are subsidized interest rates are currently about 4.25%. And I don't know what the
I'm saying 4%.
commercial loan is now, but I think it's approaching.
It's more than that.
8%, yeah. So this is kind of like a win-win for everybody. And there are a number of other USDA programs that allow grants for home site development, for multifamily home site developments and so forth. So we're just now scratching the surface as to what the possibilities are and how, as I said, we can be more effective for a larger number of people.
What does a partnership look like? So you said you'd like to partner with us moving forward. So I don't know if you know, we're a group of volunteers.
Well,
And so what does a partnership look like?
For instance, I would expect that you would use our Habitat affiliate, Lancaster, Northumberland, as a vehicle, if you will, to enable, a grant for a particular project. So there are some grants that the county cannot manage. They cannot deal with it. They're prohibited from applying, and they need a nonprofit or they need a commercial enterprise in order to manage and to carry the project through, basically to do all the project management issues with respect to start it, that is, write the proposal and then fulfill the proposal, and even become, say, a billing agent, for instance, if there is a loan or if there's rental income, et cetera, et cetera. Now, we use Virginia Housing today as our billing agent. That's just a matter of convenience because there's just so much to doing mortgage processing, like escrow analysis and all that kind of stuff. And, a long time ago, we decided we really did not want to do that, but we engaged with Virginia Housing. But the major point is that there are grants available that you may choose to be involved with, but yet you really can't. And you might need another party to do the work for you. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we would have you assist us in terms of how to do it and what to say, what are the numbers, et cetera, et cetera. So it would be a joint effort to actually prepare the grant. But you could find some opportunities, and then we likewise could find some opportunities. When we won the grant with Virginia Housing recently, I guess for lack of a better term, I'll just be totally candid. I think that we impressed them so much with the way that we planned, organized, and controlled the grant process, and that we have done a very good job in terms of dealing with their reporting. They have introduced other opportunities for us. And so I think that, we're going to see some things from the state. I'm pretty sure of that. We do have, the state is in the middle of trying to figure out what they're going to do. What's the department concerning the manufactured housing? The state's going to go after 25 million piece of a $250 million grant opportunity that is nationwide, but it's for manufactured housing to either replace or repair existing units. And this is a grant, that's not a loan.
But that would have to be HUD.
It is a HUD grant.
Yeah, HUD
to start
is
off with,
manufactured
yeah,
housing.
right. And so we attended a meeting basically to try to understand what and how this thing might work. And the state is still in the middle of trying to figure out how they want it to work. So it's not ready for prime time yet, but it should be later in the summer.
So to try to wrap this up, because I know we have another one, I
Yeah.
think probably my questions are more, it doesn't sound like you really need us. I love the idea of having a partnership that we can say, hey, look, we need it. Like, look, if we've identified, obviously, there's a need for workforce housing. It sounds like you guys are like spot on top of it. There's clearly need in this county if we want to bring more people here and keep people here, as you were talking to us about, that we have more housing. So Melissa, I know you've got a lot more expertise in this. I have no idea what the parameters are of a partnership, if we need some kind of MOU, like, I don't know enough about that to know what goes on with the county. So I think I can speak for all of us to say we're interested in making sure that we can attract people to the county and they have a place to live. That we can all agree on.
Right.
The parameters of how it works, I know if would you be okay connecting to see exactly
Yes.
how this would work?
Yes.
And then we can figure out, Drew, what
From
we
the
need to do.
MOU side and stuff like that, the actual agreements, partnerships, whatever like that, most likely would need to go before the board to get their approval.
Right.
They'd have to take
But
action.
remember, what we're trying to do here is to take another step. We are, as Al mentioned, we are in transition. And we have been building one house a year, and that's really great. But we would like to do 1, 10, 15, 20, 30.
Well, I
if
have
we
22
could.
for you to do, so we
If we
will
could.
be talking.
We need to figure out how to do it. And I think in order to do it, we're going to need partnerships. And I think the two counties are clearly our number one partners.
Do you also help businesses or investors who have bought properties and they're considering turning those into workforce units? Already existing hotels or things of that structure?
No,
You don't work in that area?
no.
Okay.
Actually, that would be scary, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, but you'll give me a call.
Yeah,
We'll
if you
connect and we'll follow up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll
thank
leave
you for coming tonight.
Yeah, Al and I will leave a business card,
Okay.
okay?
No, thank you for all the great work you're doing. This is great. And as you heard us talking, you're gonna, yeah, oh, you gotta begin, okay, yeah. She's got a lot more expertise in this and knows what we're doing, but if there's something, formal, like if we're talking about, applications and grants and endorsements, then we'd have to go, make sure we go through the county attorney and the board. If it's
Right.
thought sessions and strategies, we
Yeah, we might show up at some of your other meetings by the
oh, please, they're open.
Al lives in the county, and so he has an interest in stuff like that.
Yeah, please, you're
Right,
always welcome.
sure.
And again, if you want to just, we're gonna have coffee, Melissa has a lot more expertise, but if you just want to have coffee and bounce ideas around and it's more of a coffee, don't use this word partnership, right? We don't need any kind of lawyers for
Right,
that.
I know.
Yeah, that's like, if we can just have, but again, as you see, we're in the process. I mean, this group has only been together now for what, 6 months if we're lucky?
If,
I think that, so we're, as you heard us talk about, we're trying to take some slow steps, but get things moving. So thank you for coming. And yeah, things to do, we've got a list of things where we want to try to create, an app. We've got the kayak,
Right.
we want to try to bring people in county for wine tours, for, all kinds of stuff. And then even for that, you need a place to stay, which isn't a place to live, but it's a place to stay.
We've
And
been in touch with other Habitat affiliates, looking at things that they have done that are fairly creative And I know in my case, in both instances, the municipalities are involved to one extent or another, sometimes in a lot, sometimes not so much. Some of the projects are a little bit bigger than what we typically do. Some of them are huge, just unbelievable. It's almost scary in terms of looking at the different kinds of things that they are doing contrasted to what we do, basically just one house a year. And so I think just from a qualitative point of view, we've decided that we're going to grow the outcome of what we do to essentially figure out how we can make a greater impact on low to moderate and workforce housing. And that's the goal.
That's the goal.
It's real simple.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other thoughts?
All right, so I think we're done.
Okay.
Okay.
We're good?
There you go. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Stop by and have a beer somewhere on your way home.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Food line.
Okay.
No. Spend money to
Okay, Mr. McGarry.
The process of elimination.
Okay.
Hi, guys. I'm a transplant. I came from New York, New Jersey, like a lot of people. I like to live in Lancaster, but part of being retired was I did some charitable work with the Guild. Joined the Woodworkers Guild, and we try to enhance that as much as we can. When the fire horse hears a bell, he goes. So I'm retired, but one of the things I thought I'd like to do is up the financial value of the entire farmers market, and in turn for my own group, for the Woodworkers Guild. Because we have a demographic that can't afford all the stuff we put out. Much of it, yes, but not all of it. And the options for us are poor. They go import this, take it over to Irvington, some other farmers market. It's great, but we're here to benefit the tavern. And I don't want to do that. None of us want to do that. So how do we, the problem that you asked before was, how do we increase the income to the different guilds and the people who want to come to the farmers market to display their wares? So I put my head to work on it a little bit. Not that I had much choice in the matter, but something that when I was a post-grad in New York, there was a class given that, well, I was a teacher at that time. So being a teacher, we had to acquire a certain amount of postgraduate credits in order to maintain our license. Pace University in New York, okay, offered a class, a 5-credit class. It took 5 full days. And you jumped on a bus with 70 or so other people. And you visited historic sites in and around New York City. We went to Westchester pretty far. We went to Long Island very far. And it was very educational. And it did pay off for us as a student to get 5 credits that fast. That was terrific. We enjoyed it. We learned a lot. Tour guide gave us a great time. And when we came back, we had our credits. Benefited the school, obviously, because it was an attraction. A field trip is always lots more fun than sitting and studying, reading in a book, or listening to a lecture. I came here and all I saw was the North Fork of Long Island 50 years ago. If you're familiar with that. South Shore is where all the movie stars go. The North Shore was where everybody else who wasn't a movie star went. Much more private, much more quiet. Very deeply involved in marine industries. And very elegant. And that's all I see when I'm here. And I've talked to other people who've come from New Jersey and New York who know the North Shore. I said, yeah. I have friends there who, when I bring them here to tour the place, I'll show them a piece of property for sale for $1 million or something. And they will tell me that they can afford it. But that's a $5 million piece of property on the North Shore. There are benefits to every form of progress and there are negatives to it. And I like to be aware of both. But the local folks who will not be engaged will be negative. Local folks who are engaged will make a lot of money and be very happy. That's pretty well how you know better than I know. progress goes. So what do? I wanted to bring bus tours to see what you have. And Lord knows, you know more about what you have than I do here, because I'm a newbie. But this is the only farmer's market that I'm aware of that has any sense of historical component to it. Because we have the Blacksmiths Guild, we have the Woodworkers Guild, we have this Quilt Makers Guild, and you have, yeah, and these are crafts that appeal to kids and parents, et cetera, and they're gifts to be bought, things. Plus, a bus pulling in could have lunch as part of their tour through this. So how do we do this? I'm not sure I can, but I thought I'd talk to you first. I got permission from Corinne to approach you on this because Corinne Becker runs, she's the head of so I'm doing this with her blessing, so to speak, but she needs to get results at that. That's what I want to bring back. Rather than go bouncing off the walls, which is the typical way I do things. If I came here, I said, let me see if I can find someone who already knows if there are any bus tours here. Winery tours you mentioned would be ideal for this area. And a historic tour. Lord knows you have more history. I don't think local people know how much you have.
They don't.
I'm reading a book. This week, I finished the books I read there on rescuing the Constitution. And I said to my wife, I'm reading about Gloucester, I'm reading about the North Fork. It's really interesting when you pick up a book and you find that you're standing on the place you're talking about. So I would leave that to the professor or the person who was the teacher, if you will, in the trip. But if there are universities that you have any contacts with, you'd be good enough to help me get in touch with those people. I'll see if I can inspire them to start something like this going. And all it means is one, if I were a teacher again, I'd say, give me a day or two, I'll put it together. Pick the sites they want to bring their students to. In this case, it would be students who need postgraduate education or continuing ed credits. So we're talking about adults who have money and they have a luncheon to be had and they have things they want to do. Bring them here. Let's try to do that. There are logistics we have to deal with, you know, better than parking and but best start I can have is if anyone can give me a direction to get to a college or a community college or a travel company. They'll be able to fill in the wineries they want to visit. In fact, I don't know if you know, one of our annual farmers markets is devoted to the wineries. That one's a rich snorter because we're going to buy as much too much from us. That's a very good one. And that's easy to fill. There are other things I can think of, but I don't want to start from the ground up and create everything brand new because that's very different. If you have in place some relationships that you're willing to share a phone call, let me talk to somebody in that either of those areas, those two major areas, colleges or community colleges, or trade schools if that applies. By the way, maybe this, I'll have this suggestion for you, the trade school, mechanics and engineering. But anyway, putting that aside for the moment, I really love it if you could help in that respect. That's all I need. I would take it from there. I'll come back to you with whatever I've gotten or not gotten and tell you if I've had any success. Ta-da. It was really glaringly noticeable to me that there were no buses.
No, there were no tours on it. No. It
Um,
was self-guided.
I don't think so.
It's not a simple answer.
It's okay. It's okay. I don't know if I absolutely need the answer. It would be helpful to have it, but I don't know if it's mandatory.
So I would imagine that of the four of us that are here this evening, we've got 4 different answers. At least.
Okay.
I don't have any. Go ahead, Drew.
The first person that comes to mind for me is Lisa Hall with
Yeah.
Virginia Tourism Council, who's part of the Northumberland Planning District Commission in Warsaw.
Okay.
She actually lives in the county, in Northumberland County, which she helped, we did a lot of work with her in conjunction with her in her direction. When we were doing our tourism programs that we were doing advertising there, and so she has a lot of contacts
She knows
through the
everything.
marketing and advertising as well, not just for Northumberland, but
Northern Neck.
how you, for the whole Northern Neck, and how to maybe you want to put that tour group together to be not just a day trip with a
Like
weekend.
Stratford Hall, yeah.
And
Yeah.
cover all the area and have this be one of the stops, one of the focal points on it. She would be a great resource to start this.
Lisa, what's her last name?
Paul.
Lisa.
We'll get you her contact.
Okay.
Yeah,
Robert,
if you could give us your contact information, I'll link you up.
You know I will.
She would be my go-to.
That'd be great.
What about the Historical Association too, with the Northern Neck
Yeah.
Historical? Yeah,
Historical Society.
they're having their meeting coming up here, I think in the next week or so.
Is it Teresa? She be?
No, I don't think Teresa does it anymore. We can find out because they're getting money from the county, right, the $7,500 from the county, so Luttrell has to have a contact. So I think that would be another one, the Northern Neck Historical Association.
Sure. What you're talking about now, it would take me weeks to do.
Oh, yeah, no, let's get, because if we got Lisa, that's a great one, she knows everybody. And then if we did the Northern Neck Historical Association, that would be two, I think, probably those would be good Chiclet's contact to
She-
kind of start off with. And then,
Anybody, you think of anyone in the educational field?
well, we've got this contact at Mary Washington that deals with the internships, but I mean, I can contact them and see if they know of somebody that, again, Mary Washington's, it's in Fredericksburg, but still. I don't know if they've got like a program where they do something like that, but I could ask them if they've got somebody that they work
I
with,
appreciate it.
right?
And it's better if they're not right here sometimes, because, well, for the information I need, that's fine. But if someone is drawing from the Fredericksburg world or market and bringing people to the Northern Neck or farther out of the Northern Neck, that's okay, because they're the tourists. Even though they may not feel that way, they are. And they're gonna see things they don't see around their home. So I think that is a benefit.
Yeah, the Mary Wash person would be a good contact for two reasons. They could link you up with other universities with that in the state and outside the state. But also Mary Washington has a very strong historic preservation program. So they would have a lot of students in the area that may be interested in coming down as well.
That would be fine.
Mhm.
You got the idea, it's pretty simple. but-
Yeah, so we've got 3 contacts right there, we can see, and then we'll start down.
And that saved me 3 weeks.
Okay. All right, I'll take care of contacting Mary Washington.
And if you have any thoughts or any suggestions, well, obviously I'm wide open to it.
You know, we're about to embark upon, well, first of all, yeah, Northern Neck 250. That's our celebration for our 250th anniversary. Lisa Hall will definitely give you a lot of good information about that. And there's 3 major initiatives that they're working on to celebrate our historic 250th anniversary.
I think there's no end of places to come and see.
Oh,
I
there's
really
not.
do.
We've got the largest antebellum home population ever in Reedville, for people that,
You know, I was shocked when I went past the Roosevelt School.
Yeah,
I learned, I got out of the car, I stopped, I read the placard, and then I jumped back in the car. And the first thing I did when I got home was start to research it. It's fabulous.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's history, so we don't know anything about it because it's not around today.
Mhm.
No, but that sort of thing is very moving, and I would love to do that. I'd love to just bring it in. And if it brings more money to the tavern and to the market, oh, God bless, that's good.
no, that's great, because it ups the profile of the county.
Tremendously, yes.
So
Uh,
great.
But I'll be there to share the heat if somebody says, I don't like all the crowds and the red lights and the traffic honking.
Red lights, there's 2 lights in the county.
I
We're
know,
covered.
I watched Lancaster go from 3 to 5, okay, and that didn't take very long.
Not Rock Hill, but it's-
Yeah, that'll be the TVs, right, they've got septic though, I mean sewer, so we're not gonna need that.
I don't want to get involved in that part of this, okay?
Right.
Thank you for coming,
No,
thank you for the
it's-
idea.
Well, that's kind of what I used to do. And I said, fire horse, you see, you hear the bell, and you go. Jimmy, I meant this before, I forget, told me, my car's on the wait too. I called him and said, a month ago, can you deal with it? He said, middle of August. I said, Jimmy, he said, all right, I'll put you on the standby list. So I've been on that standby list. And whenever he has too much lunch and he has an upset stomach or something, he'll work on the car. But the bottom line is, he said to me, why are you working with 2 mechanics? He said, nobody wants to be in this business. So if that's valid, and if that rings true, Jimmy is an honest guy. My suggestion is, whoever's teaching auto mechanic shop should have a movie for the kids of Daytona 500. You gotta give it sex appeal. You gotta make it like something that young guys wanna be
The
doing.
problem with that is those cars are amazing. They'll never get to work on one.
I did that, well, you can't give them false hope, but you can give them the idea that there's a really highly lucrative, exciting world out there they can get involved in. They need something like that, a field trip to a race, something to make it tangible. And then people, I remember my metal shop teacher telling me, you can make $9 an hour. This is 100 years ago. As a metal shop worker, which was a remarkably good tradesman's salary. And I thought, I intend to make more than that, but no, I didn't know it. And I was always intrigued by it. So you guys are doing great. It's great. It's a real pleasure.
All we
to
can
be
do is
here.
try, right? So
Yeah.
thank you.
I'm gonna give you some mental shop, okay, if you don't mind.
We'll go through you, Robert, to make sure that everybody, okay. Excellent. Oh, I have one more tidbit,
Me?
no, you're good. Part of the information that we got from Jacob that is available on the website is a profile of Northumberland County. The largest employer in the county is now the government. We now have more employees that are, pardon the expression, on the take side than the make side. Where it surpasses Omega and, what's the trailer people. So I think one of the things that gives me all kinds of ideas on the other side of the other part of my life I live. But for this area, I'm not sure what we can do to help the county survive if we keep growing the tax take-up side of it rather than, and my answer is not to raise taxes. That is not the answer. So I just want to make sure that you guys had that tidbit. We now have data that clearly indicate the largest employer in the county. And it's not, this building, it's writ large. The school system is the largest employer in the county. So we've got our work cut out. Thank you. Our work cut out for us is the EDC because that's not sustainable.
So upside down, it also indicates that you're sinking.
Yeah, well, I was surprised when I saw that. I did not realize that we'd surpassed.
Yeah.
And so Drew, I sent you a thing, I want to go on the Omega tour. One of the questions I have for that tour, like if we all show up, all 5 of us, what happens?
All 5 of you are planning to show up, and I've already talked to Electro about it. We just need to notify the press ahead of time, and I'm waiting to see how many board members are planning on going, so we can say it'll be so many EDC members, so many board members.
Right.
So there'll be a quorum there, but they're on a schedule.
Yeah, we're not having a meeting, we're just all gonna be at the same place at the same
Right,
time.
yeah, so
Okay.
we'll notify the press, so if they'll be aware of it, so.
Okay. And then we met our minimum if we have all of us going, right? We met our minimum. They needed 10 people.
Yeah, I don't know about board members,
Oh.
but then they invited a bunch of people from other
Okay.
areas too, not just Northumberland.
Okay, good.
But I just wanted to extend it, they asked me, make sure it's okay to extend to board and EDC members. He
No,
was-
I
he was
love
fine.
that, yeah. Okay, I guess that takes care of everything we have. All right, so Lynn has moved to adjourn at 7:28. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Wow.
Question, I just wanted to wait till we got off. Don't forget